Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into one of the biggest puzzles in AI. How do we get them to actually remember us? We're going to break down the whole science of giving AI a memory, so our chats feel less like starting over every single time and more like a real continuous conversation. All right, let's jump right in. Oh, you know this feeling. You pour all this time into explaining a project, your preferences, what you're trying to do, and then the next time you log in, the AI has completely forgotten everything. It's so frustrating, right? And it points directly to a really fundamental limit in how these models actually work. And here it is. This is the root of the whole problem. At their core, large language models are what we call stateless. All that means is that outside of the single immediate conversation you're having, they have zero built-in memory. Their entire world is just what you give them in that one single interaction. And once it's over, poof, it's gone. They start from a completely clean slate every single time. So, how do we fix this digital amnesia? Well, the answer is in this really powerful discipline called context engineering. This is the whole art and science of building smart, stateful AI agents that can actually learn from you and personalize how they interact. Now, you gotta understand, this is way, way more than just writing a good prompt. Prompt engineering is about the instructions you give the AI. But context engineering, that's about the entire payload. It's the craft of dynamically pulling in the right user history, maybe some external data, and crucial memories, and then assembling it all perfectly for every single turn of the conversation. I just love this analogy. Think about it. A great chef doesn't just start randomly cooking. No, first they do their mise en place. They get all their ingredients chopped, measured, and organized. That's exactly what context engineering does for an AI. It makes sure the model has all the right, high-quality information prepped and ready to go so it can deliver a brilliant result. Okay, so to get how all this prep work happens, we need to look at two key parts. And first up is something called the session. The easiest way to think about this is as the agent's workbench. So, a session is basically the temporary workspace for one single conversation or one project. It holds all the back and forth chat history, plus any temporary stuff, like the items you've added to a shopping cart. It's right there, it's immediate, but it's only for the task you're doing right now. This visual just lays it out perfectly. The session is your messy workbench. It's got all the tools and raw materials for the project you're on right now. But you don't just save the entire mess when you're done, right? Of course not. You intelligently file away only the really important stuff into the filing cabinet. And that right there is the agent's long-term memory. And this leads us to a really big problem. As your workbench, that session, gets more and more cluttered with a super long conversation history, you start to run into trouble. For one, it gets really expensive to process all that text. It also slows everything down. And you can even get something called context rot, which is where the AI just gets lost in the noise and starts forgetting important details you mentioned earlier. This is just the perfect way to think about it. An overloaded context window is just like an overstuffed suitcase. It's heavy, it's slow, and good luck trying to find anything in there. So, what's the solution? You pack smart. You use strategies like compaction and summarization to pack only what you absolutely need for the next leg of the journey. So, where do we put those carefully chosen essential items we've packed? Well, that brings us to our second key component, memory. If the session is the temporary workbench, memory is the permanent, organized filing cabinet. This is the key to real persistence. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, hang on, this sounds an awful lot like RAG, you are not alone. It's a common thought. But this quote here is the perfect way to see the difference. RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, is like the agent's research librarian. It's an expert on facts about the world. But memory is its personal assistant. It's an expert on facts about you. This table really hammers that point home. See, RAG pulls from static, shared knowledge like PDFs and wikis to give you factual answers. Memory, on the other hand, is built from your dynamic, personal conversations to create a tailored experience. One is an expert on the world, the other is an expert on the user. And a truly intelligent agent, it absolutely needs both. And this is so important to get. Memory is not just some passive database where we dump text. No way. It's an active, intelligent system. You can almost think of it as this autonomous pipeline that's constantly working, extracting, transforming, and loading information from your conversations into this beautifully curated knowledge base about you.
So here's how that pipeline actually works. First, it ingests the raw chat log. Simple enough. Second, an LLM gets to work to extract only the important, meaningful bits of info from all the noise. Now, the really clever part is step 3, consolidation. This is where the system acts like a diligent gardener. It merges new insights, pulls out weeds like duplicate facts, and just generally keeps the knowledge base healthy and up to date. And finally, of course, it stores that perfected memory so it can be used later.
Okay, so we have our temporary workbench, the session, and our organized long-term filing cabinet, the memory. So why is this whole setup so important for building the kind of AI we all want to use? Well, it all comes down to how these two things work together. The session is the workbench for what you're doing right now, and it's the raw material that memories are made from. And the memory is the filing cabinet for the long haul, and its tidy summaries can actually be brought back to the workbench to keep it from getting too cluttered. And the whole thing, the chef in the kitchen overseeing it all, that is context engineering, orchestrating both parts to serve up a truly smart and personalized experience. When you put all of this together, it unlocks 4, frankly, game-changing capabilities. First, you get deep, meaningful personalization. Second, you get super efficient context window management, which keeps everything fast and affordable. Third, it allows for really powerful data mining of conversations. And maybe the most exciting of all, it paves the way for agent self-improvement, where the AI can literally learn and get better from its interactions with you. So we've kind of unpacked the how of giving AI a memory. And as this tech just gets better and better, the question is going to shift from can it remember everything about us to what should it remember? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.